Lando Norris may have only completed one season of Formula 1, but arguably he's had the biggest impact on the sport of any driver in the last 10 years. If you're unaware of Lando's rise to Formula 1, I'll give you a bit of context now. He started karting at the age of 7 and went on to win multiple kart championships and would move into cars in 2014, finishing third in his first season of Ginetta Juniors here in the UK. He would then go on an incredible run over the next 4 years, winning British F4, Formula Renault, European Formula 3 and becoming vice champion in Formula 2 in 2018. His 3 back-to-back championships all also came as a rookie driver. Lando became associated with McLaren in early 2017 and went on to test a Formula 1 car on multiple occasions before being announced alongside Carlos Sainz for the 2019 Formula 1 season. Now to the point of the video. Before Lando Norris joined Formula 1 in 2019, many drivers in the sport seemed distant to the fans due to the lack of interaction via social media. It's understandable that Formula 1 drivers would like to keep most of their non-racing life private, but the fact that most drivers use PR teams to control their online presence meant fans would often feel disconnected to the real driver's personality. The lack of any sense of humour or charisma in some interviews also didn't help the fans connect to the drivers. Coming into 2019, most people would have seen Daniel Ricciardo as the only big personality within the sport due to his big smiles and frequent on-camera charm. But throughout the year and into 2020, Lando Norris would inadvertently change the perception of all drivers to the fans and media. To me, it was clear for a while, from around the time he was racing in Formula 3, that Lando was a character. I feel like all of this started with this picture, taken just after he was taken out on course to win the championship in Formula 3 with a few rounds to go. This picture got taken, memed and shared all around the internet and brought Lando Norris mainstream. The reason why I see Lando as different is that he was one of the first drivers to embrace these memes and jokes rather than feel attacked when people joked at his expense. He would continue to post this content and ensure a high level of interaction with his fan base, meaning he came into Formula 1 as one of the most well-known rookies ever. It's worth mentioning that Lando was early to the Twitch streaming game. While many drivers have joined him since we've all been in lockdown, Lando has been streaming for multiple years, and this relaxed conversation style that he's been having with his fans was another reason why so many people knew his name before he got to Formula 1. The ability for fans to chat with Lando and get a response on Twitch means that they feel much more connected to him as a person, and these long form shows also ensure that this is his true personality and not just created for a social media post. Taking over from a driver like Fernando Alonso was never going to be an easy mission, but Lando's presence off the track was matched by performances on it, putting the thought that his jokey style was costing him on track to bed. Throughout 2019, Lando continued to interact with fans on social media, post funny content and stream on multiple platforms, which meant his affection amongst fans continued to blossom. It seemed like in every single interview he was smiling and being a bit jokey, which brought a breath of fresh air into a sport which some say had become too sterile because of the PR teams micromanaging all of the drivers' decisions. This personality made Lando feel more like a friend rather than a Formula 1 driver, which ensured fans would continue to support him, which most likely helped him when he encountered some of the tough moments in his rookie season. Other drivers started to realise they didn't need to be so perfect online and be so serious in front of the media. We started to see a different side of some drivers, most notably Lando's teammate Carlos Sainz, who's coming off the back of a long partnership with Red Bull via Renault. The relationship between the drivers undoubtedly helped the team morale, and the rise of McLaren through 2019 helped ensure the team was heading in the right direction after a tough couple of seasons. I saw in the second half of 2019 that drivers were certainly interacting with fans more on social media, and we saw them have more fun in interviews, and I'm sure a lot of this is part to Lando and his approach to the media in 2019. We also got to see a jokier side of Max Verstappen thanks to their exploits in iRacing, which surely helped Max be seen differently by some fans. Fans certainly appreciated this approach, but it was not without critique. Lando especially was targeted by some people online saying he was not taking Formula 1 seriously enough, While, of course, his personality won't be for everyone, I think it's unfair to say that he's been affected on track by his attitude off it. His rookie season was one anyone could be proud of, and he certainly had a lot more technical issues in comparison to his teammate Carlos Sainz. He has commented earlier this year that he would change his approach heading into 2020, but won't become fake, just focus a little more on the racing. As we are all still currently in lockdown, many drivers and pro racing drivers alike have followed Lando onto Twitch. Obviously, not all drivers have the personality that he does, but the possibility to interact with your favourite drivers through the online platform will surely only please their fans as well. I think it's great to see Leclerc, Russell, Albon, Latifi all take this opportunity as well. It's especially refreshing to see a Ferrari driver being given such an opportunity to speak with fans, as they are sometimes seen as held back by the team. Leclerc's success on the track in 2019 was incredible, but I do not feel like I could relate to as much as I could with Lando. But for me, Charles' success early on in 2020 with streaming has allowed him to show a happier and jokier side to his personality that I didn't see in 2019. I'm sure most drivers have this as well, but sometimes I'm sure it's not easy to show that jokier and happier side at race weekends in a Formula 1 paddock which has a huge amount of pressure. It's also worth noting that this opportunity gives someone like Nicholas Latifi a great platform to interact with Formula 1 fans ahead of his rookie season, and I'm sure his exploits on Twitch have ensured that he'll have a solid fan base going into 2020. So how has Lando Norris revolutionised Formula 1? Well, for me at least, he has brought a breath of fresh air into the sport and has given fans the opportunity to get to know him and make him feel more real, rather than a Formula 1 driver who in the past may have seemed disconnected from the mainstream society. His interactions online and via the media has allowed all Formula 1 drivers to realise they can be themselves more in front of the camera, and they don't always have to come up with a super serious answer to every single question. I am sure that this has allowed a lot of fans to see the personality of more drivers and in turn enjoy the sport more because of it. Lando's approach to his first season of Formula 1 off track has certainly impacted the sport as a whole in a really positive way. But, of course, this accessibility does have a downside. We now know a lot about him and his life, but the opposite cannot be said. So it's important that, as fans, we stay respectful and don't act too matey when around drivers that we have interacted with online. I do hope that Lando doesn't get too disheartened by any of the negative comments that he's seen online, as it's always easy to pick out the bad ones. In reality, he doesn't need to be interacting with us fans as much as he does and make our time off track inside Formula 1 enjoyable. But he does, and I hope people support and embrace that. Through this, I'm happy to see that more drivers feel like they can be themselves on social media and in front of the TV, but of course we need to make sure that this whole thing doesn't become forced. The most important thing is that we support the drivers we like and to not push hate towards drivers that are only spreading positivity and enjoyment to their fans. Lando Norris has been fantastic for Formula 1. And I truly hope that he has a long and successful Formula 1 career ahead of him. And the drivers following in his footsteps should have a more enjoyable experience with the media as well, as hopefully the more light-hearted conversations will make F1 weekends more exciting for them. Let's appreciate the fact that drivers are spending their time entertaining us off track, as ultimately they are providing enjoyment that a few years ago we could have never expected. Thank you for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed watching Lando Norris progress his career over the last couple of years and become the successful Formula 1 driver he is today. Of course, we don't know when we're going to go racing in 2020, but we have our fingers crossed that it won't be too long. We'll see over the next couple of weeks, I'm sure, but it looks very much like we'll be starting the season in Austria in a couple of months' time, which means it's not really that long until we get racing again, assuming it's safe to do so. Once again, I'd like to thank you for watching this video, and hopefully you're staying safe through these very, very tough times. Of course, in the description of this video, I'm going to leave some links to the Formula 1 drivers and their Twitch pages. If you're interested, they're doing fantastic stuff almost daily now, and I definitely think it's worth checking out if you want to get your Formula 1 fix over the next couple of months. Also, the official Formula 1 channel is providing some great content right now through these tough times, and I'll definitely check that out if you have the time to do so, as well as many great streamers here on YouTube doing some great stuff for the racing community. So nonetheless, thank you again, stay safe, and it's been Alex, and goodbye.